Drew, I'm trying to lose weight here. You don't have to shame me on the podcast. That's so mean. Welcome to the Two Dads No Supervision podcast. I'm your host, Ian, with my co-host, Drew.
Woo! Yeah!
Drew dressed up for this and did not tell me.
Yes. I wanted you to look foolish. I'm the one who looks foolish. It's 95 degrees outside, and I've been in this suit all day long.
I don't think it's supposed to be the pastor sweating during the Sunday service. I think it's supposed to be the sinner sweating during the Sunday service.
Just living by example.
All right. So if you are hearing this or listening to this or seeing this as it comes out, chances are you are already subscribed to us because the YouTube algorithm is trying to screw us over.
It does not like us.
So if you could help us by sharing this with anybody that you know, it would be very helpful as we try to fight back against the overlords at YouTube.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this and you're not subscribed, please like, subscribe, and share as well.
Also, tell us how you
reach
found
as many
us.
people as possible.
Tell us how you found us, because
Yes.
we need to know how you got here. What are you doing here on this corner of the internet?
Exactly. All right. So yeah, let's just get into it for politics today. We're not really going to have a deeper dive. One, because of the algorithm, it's not something that we typically like to do. We just think that it's helpful for people to see, and if people aren't seeing it, then there's no reason for us to kind of do it. And then two, we just want to talk about Panthers and parenting more. So
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Let's get into some quick hits though of things that's happening the last few weeks. I don't know, Drew, do you want to start with anything that's on your mind?
Well, first of all, I really like that political cutscene video where it's the AI version of you just going. I think that's what all news broadcasters do, and so that's one of my favorite things I think about a lot is Ian's weird AI facial expressions. So that's really the biggest thing on my mind. But no, we are talking about there's a lot of tensions all around, and Ian and I have had plenty of discussions off camera as well in our messenger groups. We continue to disagree on lots of things, but I enjoy the conversation nonetheless. I do want to talk about Alligator Alcatraz. One, really cool name, but for those of you that don't know, that was just opened last week, right? Or it's opening up very soon, one or the other. And it is a facility that's going to hold primarily illegal immigrants who are in processing while they are deciding their fate or their case. And I want to hear your thoughts on this, Ian, before we get too much further. What do you think about Alligator Alcatraz?
Yeah, one, I think it is just stupid. I think it is someone watched a supervillain movie and was like, "Hey, let me implement that here and let it be part of my immigration policy." The other thing is that it is completely dehumanizing to people, and it just shows the inner hatred that a lot of people have towards immigrants. Again, these are people who are waiting for processing, right? These aren't people we're locking up long term who are like murderers and rapists who are, where this is going to be a max security prison and they're not supposed to escape like Alcatraz originally was. They're holding them for processing. And it is the type of like celebration of cruelty that I just cannot get behind, whether it's coming from Republican Party, Democrat Party, anything like that level of cruelty is just something I am never going to endorse, co-sign, or get behind.
So, what is the cruelty behind it? The alligators, or what's just from your perspective? What is the cruelty angle on this?
Well, one, yes, the alligators, right? So you're creating a moat and a swamp with alligators surrounding it. So if people try to leave, they get eaten by alligators. That just seems intuitively cruel, right? Two, again, it's a processing center, right? We're talking about mothers, we're talking about children, we're talking about kind of everything else there, right? Uh, they're already going to be in cages. They're already going to be in small, confined places. To add alligators there, the only reason why you're adding alligators there is the appeal to cruelty. That's the only reason why you do it. There's no like practical function of why you would have alligators there out besides just having a regular guarded fence that you would at any other processing place.
My thought is that they assume they're going to get Captain Hook and have him held at the facility, and they just got to make sure that he's on edge and knows that he's not supposed to be escaping. No, yeah, I get the whole supervillain thing. Everything Trump does is for for show, thematic effect. He's a celebrity, and that's how he builds his brand. Is he's always about the thematic and the exaggerated. It's just the way he talks is exaggerated, and so none of this is shocking to me on that end. I do think it is interesting that in our video about immigration earlier, you suggested that we needed a holding facility for immigrants that are in processing. But I knew that as soon as we came up with a holding facility, it would suddenly be a bad thing. And so I want to understand the processing on that end for you. Like what would be the ideal situation? Because
A regular processing center?
we talked about creating a go between, a place to hold them while they're going through processing. And my initial thought was our jail systems are already overloaded, so what are we going to do? Where would we put them? And now we have a place. I think the alligators are ridiculous. I think it's just for show. Um, but what are your thoughts on that? Because we did talk about this before.
Yeah, I think that is a driving force of what makes this wrong is the thing that they're celebrating, the alligators, right? When Benny Johnson goes down to Alligator Alcatraz with his hat and his gear, and they talk about feeding the alligators, right? When Laura Loomer said that the alligators are hungry for the entire Hispanic population. Let's be honest here of what the issue is. The issue is the cruelty and the dehumanization. You can create a processing center without alligators, without making it a situation where, these alligators are hungry. Oh, they're chopping at their bits so that they can eat children. Like, let's just be honest here. That is celebrating cruelty. If they just said, hey, we're building a mega Buc-ee's type processing center where, yes, it's going to be
brisket for everybody.
It's going to be tight confines, and it's not going to be everybody has a bed and blah 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 blah. Sure, it's a processing center, but we can see where their intentions are, what they're focusing on. They're not focusing on, hey, this is great. We have more processing centers so that we can process the correct people and make sure that they can leave. And then the people who are supposed to be here, they can come back and be integrated into society. They're focusing on alligators are hungry. Like,
So
let's call it out. That is
let,
cruel.
let's think through this real quickly. Okay. um, any processing facility, they're going to make it difficult to escape, right? Because that's the whole point of
That's
a
fine.
holding center,
Yep.
right? If they just said, hey, it's a normal processing facility, then it's not going to make a blip on the radar. No one's escaping. No one's going to try to escape. Now they're definitely not going to try to escape because there's a lake filled with alligators. However stupid that sounds, it does sound like it's straight from a comic book. But the the alligators, it's an icon that gets people thinking about it. Hey, I don't want to be here illegally because there's like a legit processing center, and if I'm there, I'm stuck there. I'm not getting out. And I don't want to get out because if I would try to get out, then I'm in double trouble. So I think it's more of a marketing scheme than anything to say, hey, we're taking illegal immigration seriously, so get your act together.
No, everybody is already afraid of ICE. Everybody's already afraid of armed, masked people who do not show that they are law enforcement coming in and sweeping people off the streets. I think the fear is already there. What this has turned into is a tourist attraction for Republicans, which creating a processing facility and making it a tourist attraction for people who want to see cruelty is ridiculous. Like, let's just call it a spade a spade. You don't need to make something that is supposed to be a processing center a marketing ploy. You don't see courthouses all across America we have snipers on the roof and we have eagles that are that are perched on the side. So if you leave and you don't have the right ticket, they and claw into you because eagles are the sign of justice. No. Why? Because that's insanely stupid and it dehumanizes everybody who is involved. So yes, the alligator Alcatraz is a it is it is a metaphor or it is a symbol for everything that is wrong with the MAGA party that you've talked about before, where the MAGA party does not care about individuals. They have no humanity for individuals who are not themselves. And that is an issue.
Yeah, no. People are people. You have to love people first. Uh, in this illegal immigration, the bigger picture of it, we spend a lot of time talking about the criminal and humanizing them and loving them, and we ignore the society that they hurt. And look, I think the alligator stuff, it's crazy.
The society that they hurt by paying taxes, by renting out things, by providing labor, by sending their kids off to school. That is the society that they hurt, that they deserve to be dehumanized and then told that alligators are hungry to eat them.
Look, man,
Because again,
criminals.
we are not talking about this as a holding facility for people who are suspected of murder and rape or drug trafficking. We're talking about this is a holding facility just to process people who we feel may or may not be here illegally in the United States. Again,
And
if this was something where it's like, hey, we are only sending people who we suspect are murderers, then hey, we have a different story here. But that's not what we're talking about, right? So like when we talk about the harm that it puts on communities, let's really talk about what that harm looks like.
if you really want to talk about it, the vast percentage of human trafficking, the fentanyl epidemic, all of that is coming from, not all of it, but the majority of it is coming from illegal immigration. There's a lot of that coming from that. And if we can't understand who they are, what they're doing here, we don't know who is who. And so put them together, process each of them, and a lot of the people in that facility are going to be the murderers and the human traffickers and the drug pushers and the MS-13 gang members and the other gang members that are coming over, cartel members. Like a lot of the people in those facilities, this being one of them, they're going to be part of that group. But we don't know because they're not citizens, so they're not being processed. And you say, hey, they're paying their taxes and they're contributing to the economy. We don't know any of that because we can't track any of that because they're not citizens. So they're not here legally. We do know a lot of the whole big beautiful bill, people getting upset about the 17 million that are being pulled off of Medicaid. A good percentage of that is illegal immigrants that have taken money from that system and then used it as non-citizens. It's already been tracked. And then we have, look, there's the whole way they work it is they go to the ER because the ER is legally required to treat everyone that comes in. And then they block up the ER for their medical treatments, and they're taking the money that should be going to people on Medicaid. They're taking that money and using it to subsidize the treatment of illegal immigrants in these emergency room facilities. Look, they're hurting us on multiple aspects of our society, and they're taking privileges of citizenship and they're robbing the American people of these things. And so they're good people. Some of them, they're doing the wrong thing. A lot of them are bad people and they're doing the wrong thing. We don't know who's who. So we put them in the facility, we process them, and then we deal with them case by case as we go forward.
Yeah. So that's a misunderstanding of Medicaid. Medicaid doesn't even pay that much for emergency room stuff. Like it only pays a fraction of what it is. And people are still going to treat you if you're in the emergency room and you don't have insurance, whether there's Medicaid or whether there's not. So what's going to happen is that the hospital is going to end up getting their money one way or the other, whether it's from charging Medicaid or whether it's from working with insurance companies to raise your premiums. So either way, because unless if you are advocating for, hey, if someone is dying or if someone has a broken leg or has been a victim of a crime and they're in the ER, unless if you're advocating that we just don't treat them, which doesn't happen anywhere else in the developed world, then you are going to end up getting the hospital is going to end up getting their money one way or another. That has nothing to do with illegal immigration. It has nothing to do with anything else, right?
It certainly does when we have 15 to 25 million illegal immigrants in here using that system, then driving everyone's insurance premiums up or taking from the Medicaid system, and then taking that from the citizens of this United States. You just explained the point.
They're not taking that much. Like the amount of, and I know you're doing this JD Vance thing, right? Where JD
You
Vance
just call me
like,
fat.
Look, yes, this bill is going to ruin America, but we have to stop the subsidies to immigrants. What they pay out in Medicaid for ER stuff is very minuscule. And it really is not going to have an effect on the bottom line of who is going to be kicked off of Medicaid. So it's an excuse, but it's not a good excuse. And at the same time, again, you can have a processing center without having alligators, without saying that the alligators are hungry to eat these people. You can have that. No one is saying, hey, we shouldn't have processing centers. They're saying, hey, you shouldn't make a tourist attraction and go down and say, man, these alligators are hungry for the Hispanic population. That's dehumanizing.
So
that is, I
just like I don't attribute the voice of the entire left and the entire Democratic Party to a few far left wackos, you can't do the same by saying Benny Johnson and Laura Loomer are the voice of the Republican Party.
No, but you can say that Donald Trump is the voice of the
he's the voice of the United States of America currently.
And the Republican Party. So when he says, "Oh, the alligators are hungry," what is that saying, right? Because again,
Putting up
Drew, you have already said that Trump is a great marketing genius. So he knows what he's marketing. He's marketing the cruelty, right? This isn't oblivious to him, right? Like that is what he's going to. He is tapping in to the cruelty because he knows that his Republican base is going to eat it up and love it. If that wasn't the case, he wouldn't be marketing it in that way, right? There's no other reason why Trump would do that if he knew that the Republican base would reject that.
So I'll say this, and then I think we should move on to the next. And you can have follow up, whatever. You say he's tapping into the cruelty and marketing the cruelty. I say he's putting up the bat signal and saying, "This is, for better or for worse, this is our emblem of justice. This is, hey, criminals, watch out. We're taking this seriously. We're being severe here." And so, yeah, ICE is undercover in a lot of places and making raids against people who have broken the law. Okay. And then this
or
is
who were just born in America, and for some reason we don't want to give them citizenship anymore, right? Because that's what they're looking to do as well, right? Or the Dreamer Act, where we told them, hey, we understand that you came here when you were 3 years old. We get that. You've been in our school system. You are contributing to our society. You are doing the things that you need to do. Let's keep you here. And Trump says, no, let's throw them into a holding cell surrounded by alligators, right? Like, you're not going to be able to hijack this and say that a majority of the people that they are processing are going to be these high-level criminals, because we know that's not the case. A very small minority of the people who come to America are these hardened criminals.
A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. It's a biblical principle. And rat poison is 98% high grain wheat with 2% poison in it. And until we know who is who, until we can find the poison and cut the poison out, we have to put things aside, process it, and go through it case by case, work it out. That's what they're trying to do.
So process it in a processing center that doesn't dehumanize the 98%. This isn't a hard concept. Look, right?
If they're not going to try to escape, then what's the difference if there's Godzilla standing outside the front gates? It doesn't matter. If they're going to stay in the facility until they're processed, if they're not going to continue to break the law and they're going to go along with the processing, then it doesn't matter what's outside the gates. They're safe inside. If they try to escape, because they are there because they've broken the law, so if they try to escape, then they're breaking the law again. But if they're going to be law-abiding, follow the processing, and follow everything that they need to do, it doesn't matter what's outside the gates. What's outside the gates is it's a signal for those who are outside, hey, you don't want to be in there, because once you're in there, don't get out.
Yeah, that is, we can go historically why that is a terrible reference, right? We can say, oh wait, hey, why? If people weren't trying to escape Auschwitz, then why does it matter if it was cruel surroundings there? Who really cares, right? Of course, the surroundings that you have there and the dehumanization that you have there is going to be important, right? For humanity and for what we want as citizens, or else there would be no non-max security, right? Every prison
than a Nazi
every prison in America would be max security, because, well, if they weren't going to escape the minimal security, then why does it matter if it's max security or not, right? Intuitively, I know that this doesn't make any sense, right? There is a difference in a morality difference between saying, hey, we have a processing center here for people who we don't even know are illegal immigrants. They're processing, right? because there are people who are going through the immigration process. There are people who go in and they realize, oh crap, we got the wrong person. So from a moral standpoint, having a normal processing center is much better than having a processing center where you are celebrating the cruelty. And that's what the Republican Party is doing. They are celebrating the cruelty.
They're celebrating the severity. We're finally taking a stand on illegal immigration, something that presidents have promised for a while, and certainly our last president just let go willy-nilly with no problems whatsoever, and with the open border policies. And so
It wasn't an open
they're
border.
Celebrating, hey, we're
No,
finally taking this seriously.
It wasn't an open border. 98% of the people who came over were turned away. If 98% of people who came over the
So that
border
means
are turned away,
250 million people were trying to get in?
No, it means that we have an asylum process. We have processes to go through to get into the United States that are legal processes. The asylum process is a legal process. Now you can say now, hey, we don't want it to be a legal process. So now we are going to say everybody who came over through that process is now illegal, but that doesn't mean that it was illegal when they went through the process. Just as when you say, hey, we're getting rid of birthright citizenship, that doesn't mean that the people who were born in America are illegal immigrants when they were born in America. Just because you want to change the rules because you want to feel like there's more illegal immigrants than there actually was. And you actually don't want to deal with the problems. You just want to build moats with alligators instead of actually dealing with the problems and processing them through judges, processing them through the stuff that they've actually gone through, instead of just locking them up and saying, hey, the alligators are hungry.
This is an endless. Comparing it to a Nazi prison camp is a completely outrageous claim. There are no gas chambers in there. There's no.
No. So you're not addressing any of my points. You are just addressing something that I said maybe 5 minutes ago, where
because it was a long rant. There's a lot to address there. But if we're gonna, do you want to just double down on this, or do you want to try to have some rapid pace?
I mean, we can move into birthright citizenship and then
Okay.
the naturalization citizenship. That's an easy move here.
Yeah, that makes sense. I haven't looked too much into the removing of naturalization and birthright citizenship. On surface, it's a really dumb move. Birthright citizenship has been part of our immigration policy for ages. I don't even remember who started. It may have been from the very beginning. I think it's dumb to try to remove it. And it's going to cause more problems than are necessary, and we have enough problems already. I do think there are issues with people coming for a quick visit just at the right time while they're pregnant, just so that their kids can have the citizenship benefits, and then they can scoot out of the country. A lot of times it's used as an immigration policy or an immigration subversion. Oh, my kid's a citizen, so now I can get my path to citizenship quicker. So you got to look at it as a case by case situation, in my opinion. But I do think trying to remove that completely is unnecessary.
Yeah. That's the thing with rights, is rights are there only when you don't like it. So yes, some people may take advantage of birthright citizenship, which is a right in the Constitution, just as some people take advantage of the Second Amendment. Some people take advantage of freedom of speech. Some people take advantage of religion. There's not a case by case basis. It's either it is a right or it isn't a right. So yes, are there some people who take advantage of it? Sure. I don't care. It's a right. And if we're just going to start taking away rights because people take advantage of them, you're never going to have any rights. It's as simple as that. Every country in the New World has birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
It
I think
again,
when it gets to the point of hurting us, and I haven't done any study on it, so I don't know what the numbers look like, honestly. But if it gets to the point of hurting us, then we need to say, hey, well, let's look at this exception clause here and take care of that. But I
yeah,
don't
well,
see it
im-
being anywhere near on a large scale enough to say, hey, let's just get rid of this altogether.
immigration, any type of immigration, does not hurt us. It doesn't. We need immigration because our birth rates are falling. So
Any
you
legal type
need
of immigration. Illegal immigration
no,
does hurt us.
no. Illegal immigration does not hurt us. Now, we should not want illegal immigration. We should have a immigration policy in place that makes it very easy for people to come into the United States, and so that they feel comfortable just going through the right processes, so that we know who they are. Yes, because you don't want people in the United States that are unchecked. But immigration itself does not hurt us. We rely on immigration because birth rates are plummeting, and in order to keep an economy growing, a country growing, and everything else, you need more citizens. You need
Birthright
more
thing,
people in the country.
the birthright thing is terrifying. And that's a larger conversation altogether. We may one of these days need to spend an entire parenting portion of the podcast talking about why we think birth rates are plummeting. But uh, that's another conversation altogether for sure. Illegal immigration.
It's because women are more educated. I mean, it is there is a correlation between the amount of education a woman has and the amount of kids that a
Mhm.
woman has. So yeah, I mean, hopefully that there's going to be a solution technology wise in the future, just like we were able to kind of get rid of obesity with technology, kind of get rid of something like COVID with technology. Um, you know,
You may be from Orlando, but you're not in the South because obesity is not gone. Again, you're
no,
talking
but
about like Ozempic and all that stuff, but
yes, yeah, the technology is there to
yeah.
you're going to see people lose massive amount of weight, and it's not going to be a social change, right? We knew that social changes weren't the things that got rid of COVID, like masking or separating people. It was technology in mRNA vaccines that got rid of COVID. You're going to have some sort of technological thing that comes along that helps us either not need large birth rates, or something that makes it more viable for working women to be pregnant and give birth without it taking a huge toll on their body.
Yeah, one of the things that I think will contribute is lifespan. And again, there's a lot to talk about here, but if we extend lifespan uh, as we have been trending towards, the need for new lives will get lower and lower. Just logistically speaking, if more people exist. Now, again, there's a lot to talk about there, but back on naturalized citizenship, Ian, what is the argument for it that you have heard? Because I haven't seen anything that makes sense yet.
Yeah, so the DOJ is trying to get rid of naturalized citizenship for people who commit certain types of felonies, which, if you were granted citizenship, you went through the process of getting citizenship. Citizenship at that point is a right, it's not a privilege. You can't just revoke it. The issue with that is, if the Supreme Court says yes, the government has the jurisdiction, or they have the authority to revoke citizenship, it won't be on a criminal basis. It will be like the executive power has authority to revoke it, which opens it up to meaning that they can revoke it for any reason, right? Just like the Homeland Security or the Secretary of State has the ability to revoke um, uh, like green cards and permanent residence for any reason at all as well. So that's the issue there. We're going to have to see. Right now, birthright citizenship has been stripped away. I think there's 18 days until it comes into effect. So unless the Supreme Court stands up and comes through there, then any person that is born to a mother that is not a citizen does not get citizenship.
Yeah, I mean, it's problematic. I don't know. We have 2.5 weeks to see what actually happens and figure it out. It's, you know, as well as anyone, it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on right now and the thought processes behind them. I don't think it's a good move. I don't think we should be able to revoke citizenship. I think if we were willing to give citizenship, then we are willing to take whatever problems or benefits come with that individual that has received citizenship. And so that means it's on us for prison or justice. But it's also on us to be able to receive whatever benefits that person brings to society. And so I can't have it both ways, in my opinion.
I agree. It's just unconstitutional. It's another attack on the Constitution, which any attack on the Constitution, I am against.
Well, unless a Democrat does it, but that's different, right?
No, even
I'm
when
just kidding.
even when Democrats even when Democrats want to attack the Constitution is there. If you want to change the Constitution, you go through the process and you make a new amendment. Outside of that, their rights are there for a reason.
Speaking of amendments, and I hate to blindside you with this, but it's been off and on lately, but I just saw a report that 12 states have amended or reached out to add an amendment for Senate term limits. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about term limits.
Really?
Term limits are an issue if people are voting in people who they want to run the country. And if they continue to vote them in, then they continue to vote them in. That seems like a voter issue more than it seems like a problem with the process. If we are pro-democracy, which the United States is a democracy, then telling people, hey, you can't vote for this person anymore, is silly to me. But if you're going to have term limits for the president, it does make sense that you should have term limits for the Senate and the and Congress as well.
So you don't think we should have term limits for any position? Is that what you're saying?
I think in a democracy, yes, you should be able to vote for who you want to vote for an extended period of time. Now, I understand why there is term limits. I understand why that was put into the Constitution for the executive power, that they didn't want a king or they didn't want someone who was going to be there, for 20, 30, 40 years, right? But from the standpoint of democracy and people voting for who they want to be in, then, I mean, democracy is democracy. That I'm a big proponent of democracy.
It's interesting, though. I think not having term limits for senators and the House there is basically putting the pressure on the individuals themselves to be of high character enough to say, hey, my mental faculties are slipping, and so it's time for someone younger, more energy to be able to come in and take care of this job now. I think and I know you and I disagree about the levels of corruption within government, but I do think Um, it borders on corruption to have people who are required to vote on behalf of their constituency, and they're too tired to show up to the Senate floor when there are hearings, or are too they're too distracted with campaigning to read the bills, so they pay their secretaries to read and summarize the bills for them. And like we've elected you to do a job, and either your mental faculties have declined so greatly you can't handle the job anymore, or you're too busy doing things that we didn't vote you in to do. I don't know. I do think there's a benefit to having term limits, and especially the mental faculty part, because we've seen individuals on both sides of the aisle have severely declining mental faculties, and they should not be in positions of leadership anymore. Maybe counsel, where they can advise someone else and, hey, this is what I learned while doing that. That's valuable, but they shouldn't be the ones in charge. Mitch McConnell freezing up. We had that Republican senator lady disappear for like, what was it, 2 months, and then they found out she's got severe dementia and she's in some senior living center back in, I think, Arizona or something. And she was in charge of what, the committee, intelligence committee or something crazy, and no one even knew where she was. Like, so I see benefits for sure of term limits. I understand what you're saying though, being able to vote people in. I think looking at the if we look at the minimum output or the minimum concentration level, which is what most society votes on, is they don't want to think about it. Oh, that guy's been in there. He's got an R or he's got a D next to his name, so I'm going to vote for him. Think that's where term limits become valuable, because hey, we have to learn about this new person and decide if we are in alignment with their actual policies, or if we need to go another direction. So I don't know. I see what you're saying about being able to vote whomever you want in, but I also see, knowing myself, if I didn't have to, I wouldn't research or look at anything. I would just say, oh, this is the person I've heard of before. I voted them in before because I liked them before. I don't know. Let's just that's fine. Let's keep voting them in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think as it pertains to mental faculty or just not doing the job, I think even if someone's voted in and they're not able to perform the job that they were voted in to do, that is a dereliction of duty, and they should be removed. I think that's pretty simple across the board. They don't have the same mental capacity that they did when you voted for them. Now, if you don't want Mitch McConnell to continue to be a senator, don't vote for Mitch McConnell to continue to be a senator. If you don't want Dianne Feinstein to, do what she was doing, then don't vote for Dianne Feinstein, right? I think that the appeal of this forces people to research the candidates or anything else. This is this is choosing representatives and leaders for the most powerful nation in the world. And if you're already not taking that serious enough that you're not researching your candidates, I don't think that adding new people to it is going to change that very much. It's just kind of the old saying, you get what you pay for. You get what you vote for. If you're going to vote lazily and whatnot, you're going to end up with a lazy government. If you are going to be proactive and actually care about politics and care about the government, then you're going to vote for people who actually care about the government, and you're going to get a better government. It's as simple as that, right? But yeah, I'm pro democracy. If there are term limits added, that's fine. Like I said, it's weird that we have term limits for a president, but not for other representatives of the states. So yeah, that's my thought process.
Yeah. Speaking of needing to research your candidates, Uh, let's talk about that New York City uh, election that's going on right now.
Yeah. Zoran Mamdani.
Yeah, I was waiting for
The
you to pronounce his name to make sure that that's how I was going to pronounce it, but I wanted to make sure that like I wasn't the first one in case I
For
messed it up.
sure. Yeah, I might have messed that up. I don't live in New York, so it's not as big of an issue and whatnot. But yeah, so a socialist candidate won the primary in New York for mayor. And yeah, Drew, what are your thoughts about it?
Look, man, we fought the socialists in the 80s, in the Cold War. So, I don't know. It's socialism has never worked in any society that it's ever been implemented. And so, I can't imagine that it's going to go well for the citizens of New York City. It's tough. It's a historic city. I love the city there. Almost moved there recently, actually. We had a potential opportunity. Just didn't feel like the Lord had led us that direction. But New York is in a crisis already. They've been in a crisis, and this is just the fruits of that. Um, I'm not surprised that a Democratic Socialist is going to be the he's the Democratic candidate and most likely the mayor, the upcoming mayor of New York City. He doesn't have much resistance in what he's going, who he's running against, and so I'm not surprised by it. I am going to be interested to see how it will affect the city on a large scale if he is elected and then um, becomes the guy over if he does implement the belief system that he espouses over the next few years. It'll be interesting to see how that affects the city, not just in the immediate term, but in the near future.
Yeah. I'm going to steal your argument here for every argument that you have against arguments against Trump and say, yes, I know that it hasn't worked in history for anybody else, but this is what the voters voted for. And it may work this time, right? So let's give them a chance. And, yes, increasing tariffs from cities outside the New York City. Oh no, wait, no, that's a Trump thing. Yeah, no, running city-owned grocery stores is probably going to be a terrible thing for local small businesses, but it may work. So let's give it a chance. The thing with Mamdani is his brand is just so great, and
It is.
that with his brand, people you either love him or you hate him, right? And we can try to think of what are their thought process when they're up there talking about things and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we should know, like, this is like a marketing thing so that other people can be aware, right? And that awareness is really going to drive things forward. And look, I don't know if things are going to work out, right? I do know that New York City has been less than ideal for a long time.
Very
Whether
true.
it's Republicans or Democrats, it just nobody goes to New York City, right? When you think of New York City, you don't think of like a great city. You think of like this like ran down, no opportunities, very poor type of city, right? So maybe this will work. Maybe this will bring life back into New York City, so it could be the trading center that it was in the 1800s. Was that a was that
I would
a
give you a
I
B.
think that's
a
I think
B minus
that's a
on defending a
that,
problematic candidate.
that's a spot on, like, but no, in all honesty, yeah, I think a lot of the ideas that he has are terrible economically. They just are. We'll see if it works out.
What is the
I don't
argument
think it's
for
going
a
to work out.
city? What's the argument for a city-run grocery store? Hey, why is he
That
supporting that?
if you have a city run grocery store that can set prices on groceries and everything else, that you won't have surge pricing, you won't have like private industry that is driving prices up just because they feel like they can for profit, like we saw, after COVID, for things, right? The issue is you end up just pricing out the local businesses so that they can't make any profits, and then you end up with less competition there, so that the government is the only thing that you can go to, right?
And you got to subsidize it.
It's bad. Yeah, you have to subsidize it. It's bad policy. But hey, this is what the rich people in New York City wanted. So the rich people in New York City are going to, you get what you pay for, and you get what you vote for. So we'll see exactly how much policy of that he campaigned on will actually be put into place. He did change his thought process on quite a few things. Over the last few years, his housing policy is actually not that terrible, besides the rent freezes, which rent control never works. So if you're advocating for rent control, you're just advocating for rent to be higher for people who are not under that rent control. But yeah, and I think that segues into the other thing that I really wanted to talk about,
Yep.
which is the housing things that are going on. The 2028 president-elect Gavin Newsom,
No, AOC.
he was able to get California to bypass a lot of environmental policies as it pertains to development of housing. 55 units or less, you don't have to go through the environmental steps and make sure that it passes like the environmental thing. This is huge for housing. This is huge for the housing affordability, which is a huge crisis in California, because they're going to build more houses. And that is the only way that you lower the price of housing, is you build more houses. We saw the same thing that happened in Maine. And a very similar thing happened in the state of Washington as well. So it is great that the Democrats are finally looking at things in a lens of, we have to do what's best for the economy, and not what's best for anything else, because the economy is going to drive everything else. So if you have people who can afford housing, if you have the government investing in innovation, you're not going to have to worry about climate change, because you'll have solar power and you'll have geothermal and you'll have nuclear energy. That's stuff that we can start doing in 2028 after Trump leaves, because apparently cheaper sources of energy that are more efficient are gay. But fossil fuel and coal, those are man energy, right? Yes. But long term, that's what the country needs. And this switch to abundance from some of the Democrat states is really great to see. I hope that Republicans switch to abundance as well. Texas has been very good at this. Texas has said, hey, we failed our energy supply, almost 5 years ago now is when they had the big snowstorm that wiped out all of Texas. So they said, what we're going to do is we're going to build solar power plants everywhere. And now Texas leads the nation in energy production. And that's because of solar plants. That's not because of oil, right? So if we can have this abundance mind state from both Democrats and Republicans, we're going to end up being in a place where 50 years from now you get your like Jetsons type utopia thought of the world, which is really cool, right? Science can help us with a lot of things. We just have to say, hey, we want abundance. We want more things. More things are good because more things means more innovation, and it means that we're more efficient on everything else. And that's just kind of my rant on
Yeah.
lowering housing prices and making sure that we live in a better society where everybody has everything.
So you mentioned the Jetsons type utopia, and talk about the other stuff, but the most important thing I got to mention here, the Jetsons and the Flintstones are in the same universe at the same time. Look it up.
Yes. Yes. So
So,
we want to be the Jetsons that are going off of nuclear power and solar power. We don't want to be the Flintstones that are relying on dinosaurs to power their cars.
that's because the Jetsons stole all of the power. They're
That's fine.
blocking out the sun with their power.
We can steal the power from other countries and be the best. That's fine. That's American exceptionalism. That's what we want. American exceptionalism.
Yeah. Yeah. If Gavin Newsom makes a good move, he makes a good move. I hate that California has been hurt for so long by these like heavy environmental restrictions, and I get the thought process behind it and all that, but to be able to usurp that and like, hey, we got to build houses for people. Let's do that. It's a good idea. I don't know what conservatives are saying about this or liberals. I just know what he did, and it makes sense. So I'm glad that he and other states are doing that. Like, hey, we gotta take care of housing. So let's build houses, or let's build rental apartment blocks, whatever we need to do. But let's get people shelter. So hopefully that will begin to cut down on the homelessness epidemic, the crisis that is in California right now. Both Los Angeles and San Francisco and several other cities. I Those are the two that I've been around more recently, but it's bad. It's really bad right now, and so hopefully that will start getting people off the streets and giving them shelter that they need, giving people a chance.
Yeah. We know it will. Texas builds a lot of houses. They have the lowest homelessness rate in the U.S., and that's because of the amount of houses that they build. Houston had a huge homeless problem, and they just said, okay, well, we're going to build more houses. And guess what? You build more houses, and people can live in the houses. It's incredible. But yeah,
I do think it's
also,
interesting.
I'm joking about Gavin Newsom being the presidential
Oh,
elective
no, because I was
2028.
going to talk about that. Because the real
I'm joking.
2028 president is in Texas right now, Senator Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz is hated by everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, Ted Cruz is not going to be president, but Gavin
No,
Newsom is also hated by everybody
yeah.
too. So if that's our two choices, then that would be hilarious.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, just two people that everybody hates. But yeah, the great
That's
policy.
about how I've felt for the
Speaking
last several elections, honestly.
speaking of Texas, there was a flash flood
Yeah.
around a river, and it at the time of recording there has been 70 deaths. And there's still 11 campers that they are trying to find. It's sad. I don't want to politicize anything. I know the one of the local Republican officials was criticizing the NWS, and it's easy for Democrats to point to and say, "Hey, well, the federal government just cut huge fundings to the NWS and cut like half of their staff, so maybe they would have been better suited if you didn't cut the employees." But the facts are, Texas got the warning at like 1 a.m. that night. The flash flood happened around 4 a.m. that night. That is typical for the warnings from the NWS. So I don't want to say that this is a direct correlation or causation from Doge cuts or anything else. It's just very sad.
Yeah. I hate the natural inclination of both parties to find some reason to promote themselves when tragedy like this strikes. If there's some sort of shooting or some sort of attack or some sort of natural disaster, the first thing a lot of the media and a lot of politicians think is, how can I make myself look good or make my opponent look bad? And that shouldn't be number 47 on our thought list. That's not what matters. What matters is, like, these are people that are hurting, missing, dead. Like, this is a tragedy, and so it's not a moment to build your platform and promote yourself. And it's disgusting that people would look at a tragedy like that as an opportunity.
And the other thing is we just don't, like, when events like this happen, we don't have the facts right away.
Right.
So just jumping to politicizing things, it when you assume something, you make an ass out of you and you make an ass out of me. And that's kind of what happens when you get on a platform and you start politicizing something that you don't have the facts to, right away. So 70 young girls who are dead, who just went to a summer camp. And it's sad.
Yeah, it's awful.
That really should be the only dialogue around here is, we're praying for the families. It's something that is just really hard to think about, and it's just a tragic loss. So our thoughts and prayers are with the families who are affected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And as this world continues on, more and more tragedy abounds, which is why we need a hope. We have a savior. And that's what keeps us looking upward and onward, is knowing that we have a hope in our Lord.
Yep. We can conquer death.
So, on a lighter note, Ian, I know that you were really excited to talk about the jobs report until the full data came out about the jobs report. Do you still want to talk about that, or no?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Look, I'm here to celebrate everything that happens that are good or bad from the Trump administration, right? So the jobs report came out. I believe it was 174,000 new jobs or 147,000
I
new
think it's
jobs.
147, yeah.
Okay, yeah, it's but either way, it beats expectations. Now, most of these are public sector jobs. The private sector did slow, and that's what we saw with the ADP stuff as well. Was they were expecting like 100,000 new private sector jobs. They ended up with 30,000. But I don't know if this is the best thing for Donald Trump, because beating job expectations is not going to convince Powell to lower interest rates. It's going to tell Powell that he needs to keep interest rates where they are, especially as our economy continues to shrink and inflation continues to rise. So I don't know if this is something that Donald Trump is too happy about long term, and that's why he was truthing Jerome Powell at 2 o'clock in the morning because he couldn't sleep, and he was just thinking about Jerome lowering the interest rates, and he's like, Jerome, please, please, just lower the interest rates, please.
If you won't,
So
then
yeah,
resign. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Jerome Powell has been one of Donald Trump's greatest success stories. He was Jerome Powell has been great at his job. I know a lot of people hate him, but he does things the way that you're supposed to do, without emotion, without political bias or anything else. He just looks at the numbers, and from the numbers, he says, okay, we need to raise interest rates, we need to lower interest rates, and he's done a fantastic job. It's a shame that like the two biggest things that Trump has been successful at, the vaccines and Jerome Powell, are the things that Trump supporters hate the most. But I think Trump just hates success. That's why he fails at so much, right?
Yes,
like
the
13.
multi-billionaire.
Well, he could have took the money that his dad gave him and just put it into a mutual fund and ended up with more money than he does now. But instead, he wanted to bankrupt 13 businesses. He wanted to launch Trump Steaks and have that fail. He wanted Trump University and have that fail. He wanted, he just wants to fail at so much because he just doesn't like success. And that's why he loves to golf, because he's terrible at golf. And
do we actually know what his handicap is?
Well, we can't trust him because he also says that he's the same. He has the same body size as Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
we no,
Derrick Henry. He's the exact same size as Derrick Henry.
Well, this time
6'4",
before it was Lamar
240.
Jackson. Yeah, but he's gained 25 pounds. He needs to go back on Ozempic. The little turkey gobble under his neck is getting bigger there.
Yeah.
But no, I think Jerome Powell has been great. I think if he lowers the interest rates, I trust Jerome Powell's judgment, and I believe that he makes a good decision there. If he keeps the interest rates where they are, I trust Jerome Powell's judgment. Jerome Powell has been right almost every step of the way. I know a lot of people don't like that because he said, oh, well, inflation is transitory back in 2021, but it turned out that it was. And we ended up with the best recovery out of any nation in the world out of COVID. And a lot of that has to do with Jerome Powell. So thank you, Jerome Powell. You are our hero. You're the nation's hero. And you are such a ladies' man, Jerome Powell. Now, I may or may not be closing on a house in the near future. So
imagine that.
If you do want to lower interest rates, it would be advantageous for me. But Jerome, we love you. You are the shining example of everything that we want out of this world.
So you're saying Jerome Powell 2028 then?
No, because Jerome Powell's not political. So I don't want him to be president. I just want him to make decisions on the federal bank, whether it's lowered or raised. So
that means if the best chairman is going to be emotionless and apolitical and just run by the numbers, you know who you're setting up to be the next chairman, right? Grok. Obviously.
I'd love that, because every time Republicans are like, Grok, tell this liberal that he's wrong, Grok's like, you don't have the facts on this. You're wrong. And then they're like, Elon built this liberal piece of crap. And it's like, or you're just misinformed. You could be misinformed. That could be the case.
I have looked it up. Trump has a 2.8 handicap, which means he's a lot better of a golfer than I am. depending on where he's playing, but you're looking at like a 75, 77, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, I think that decimal is off. I think that's a 28 handicap. It's the same thing with Obama always beating the Secret Service people at basketball. It's like, are you going to foul the president
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
United States? Right?
Was it?
No. Like, are you going to tell the president of the United States that he has to take a 2-stroke penalty for this drop after he just shanked that drive? No, you're gonna be like, oh, great, awesome, thank you, president.
Yeah. I don't know. He owns a lot of golf courses, so he probably has a lot of practice. And I think that's what's standing in the way of most golfers is being able to actually get out on the course for unlimited golf. Uh, which is really just the dream life, to be honest. I don't know
Yeah,
why he would want to be president if he could just play golf all the time.
George Steinbrenner owned the Yankees. I'm not thinking that he's going to throw a 95
Well,
mile per hour fastball.
that's a
Just
completely
just
different
because
mechanic.
just because you own something doesn't mean that you're good at the actual task that goes underneath it. But yeah, that was just a joke.
Yeah,
We're
no,
just
I get
jokes.
it.
Yeah. All right, but
Yeah.
with talking about sports, let's go ahead and talk about the Carolina Panthers. We are going to have a quick wardrobe change here, and we will be back. All right, Panthers football with two dads who don't need any supervision, no matter what their wives say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a different discussion altogether. But yeah, let's talk Panthers football. It is the off season and mandatory mini camp has already passed, and then there was voluntary OTAs or something. Chuba Hubbard was involved in that and leading the crew, so that's good to hear. But outside of that, there's really not much going on. Have you heard anything, Ian?
Not particularly, but that's probably good news. Typically, if we're hearing anything about players during this time, it's because they've gotten in trouble. So
Yeah.
at least
Yeah,
that
no
hasn't happened.
arrests. We're good to go.
Xavier Leggett did show that he is a extraordinary human being,
That's true.
helping people who were in need. So shout out to him. But outside of that, nothing football related.
Yeah, so he did help someone who got stuck on a four-wheeler, which is right up his alley. That's XL country right there. He was probably just hanging out in the woods, honestly, and then it heard a four-wheeler go by. It's not surprising that he didn't catch them before they fell on into the mud.
All right, we're gonna do the what was it, the guy in Philadelphia that saved the kid that was jumping out of the burning building, and he was like, just please don't be like Nelson Aguilar, please
Yeah,
don't drop it.
exactly.
Yeah, we're gonna do that to Leggett right now. Come on now.
Man,
He was a rookie. He's gonna turn the ship around.
look,
Um,
is he still a rookie? I mean, he's had his first season, and we saw improvement in his route running in the practice clips with the route god, but we also saw a montage of drops. It's like, I know it's just practice. I know.
he's not working on catching at that point in time. He's working on getting open, right?
And he should work on catching a lot. He's got a long path ahead of him in catching.
Look, the first thing that you need to do as a wide receiver is get open. So if he's working on that, that's fine. Even if he has a 50% catch rate, if he's open, that's great. We know this because we got to the Super Bowl with Ted Ginn, who could drop everything, but he would always get open, right? So it's just the laws of probability. But yes, I would prefer my wide receivers to have the ability to catch, but I do think Leggett has the ability to catch. I'm not giving up on him yet.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was a problem in South Carolina. I know he was basically a one-year wonder, and there are a lot of background issues and family crises that happen. So like it all is explainable. But the one year that he was wonderful in that year, we didn't see any drop issues show up on tape. So that's why last year as a rookie it was kind of surprising. But I don't know. I want
Well,
to be optimistic. I
and
just
remember, he went into college as a or as a quarterback. He
yeah,
has not been playing wide receiver that long in retrospect for the totality of his life, right? So
it's
I
true.
think he seems like he has an amazing work ethic, right? And that's really the first step there. I know there are some people who just don't have the hand-eye coordination to catch a ball. It doesn't seem like he lacks hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
So I trust that the coaching staff and his work ethic are going to allow us to see him have a fairly successful catch rate, especially with McMillan on the other end rolling coverages towards him. So that'll be great.
Yeah, there are very few coaches in the league that have a track record with wide receivers like Dave Canales. And so that gives me a lot of hope that no matter what shortcomings, literal or otherwise, our wide receivers might have, they have hope for improvement. At, at least to meet the league mean, because a good coach will improve game no matter what. And so I know we have a good coach, and I know he has a good track record with wide receivers. He knows how to use them. Uh, I am a little concerned. We talk about um, his ceiling when he was coming into the league being Debo Samuel. And now looking at Debo Samuel, Debo's kind of looking like Kelvin Benjamin a little bit. Have you seen that?
Look, Debo likes to eat, right? He eats in the
On
off
and off the
season,
field.
but during the season he's gonna get his, right. It's like Ezekiel Elliott, he did this so much that he turned into one of those looking at what is the little Wookiees
The Ewoks?
from Star Wars. Yeah, he looked like an Ewok.
Oh man. So one of my favorite running backs for like 2 years was Eddie Lacy, just because it was hilarious. And before him, the bus, again, hilarious. Now the bus was a Hall of Famer, literally, um, and a really great player. But man, that boy was chunky.
Hey, Eddie Lacy's a Hall of Famer too, at the buffet. But you know,
That old country buffet.
him, Calvin Benjamin, and Vince Young all together.
So
And Jamarcus Russell, all of them together. Just put them in a buffet. There is not a buffet in America that they cannot take down.
I mean, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about our own big back, Tubagoo, the
Look, I'm trying
Tolldozer,
to lose weight.
Mr. Mike Tolbert.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Drew, I'm trying to lose weight here. You don't have to shame me on the podcast. That's so mean. But yeah,
I'm working on it,
Mike
man.
Tolbert,
Shut up.
yeah, Mike Tolbert, the human bowling ball.
Yeah, Mike was awesome, man. He was not a good back for fantasy football, but he was a good back to watch in real football. I enjoyed him a lot.
Yeah, outside of the what was it, dropping that pass that Derek Anderson threw to him when Ron Rivera benched Cam Newton for not wearing a tie, which led to a turnover.
I forgot that throw was to Mike. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember Derek Anderson vividly. Like, what on earth is happening right now? Oh, that we can blame Dave Gettleman for all that. Stupid, stupid, stupid. So it is already fantasy football season. For those of you that know, you know. If you know, you know. I just completed a horrible 26 round slow draft for a dynasty league, and I don't know, man.
You hate the slow drafts. You
I hate
hate
slow
that
drafts so much.
every time we have a slow draft, you're like, why? Why are we doing this? Just pick for them. Let's
Dude,
just
it
get this
is
done and over
awful.
with.
And people are like, "Oh, people are too busy these days to get to." We have always been busy humans in the United States. We are not busier now than we have been. We have always been busy. If you plan 3 hours on a Saturday, like a month in advance, people can block that out. But oh, now we're too busy, so we have to have 8 hours a draft pick. What is this nonsense? Just rip the Band-Aid off. I don't want to have to wait 6 months to finish my draft. I want to be done with it.
Well,
Why?
what's funny is people are like, well, this way we can facilitate trades better and everything else. And I'm like, does the NFL not have trades in the in the short amount of time that they're actually drafting as well? Like, you can still
Exactly.
facilitate trades. We just got to get everybody together, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's hilarious every year. Our dynasty league will vote, and you get outvoted every time, but it's
100%. And
fun.
it's so annoying. It's so annoying. I'm already going to put in my votes. So we're talking about having a redraft league for you all to join us and talk smack throughout the season. And I'm putting in my vote right now. I don't want a slow draft. Now, I know
Oh no, no,
I'm only
a
one
slow
point.
draft and a redraft league? No, no, we were raised better than that, Drew.
Thank you. Like,
We have higher standards than that. It's one thing for dynasty because you have like an entire roster construction and you know the moves that you make can end up affecting you for years and years. I get that, but for redraft, no. You are either there or you're auto drafting.
yeah.
We're not waiting for you. We're getting the ball rolling and we're getting on to the season.
And people say auto draft ruins the league. Well, then don't auto draft. Show up. League. It's not like we're surprising you with, oh, by the way, there's a draft in 5 minutes. No, it's planned out in the Sleeper app, which we're planning on using. By the way, still waiting on sponsorship, Sleeper. Um, we will have the date and
We're
time
still
set.
sleeping on
Yeah,
the
true.
sponsorship from Sleeper.
But don't already started with a dad joke. So you'll have the timer and the countdown for days or weeks in advance that tell you when the draft is happening. No one should be surprised by any of this. And so I hate to at the very core of my being, I hate slow drafts so much.
Yeah, I see the use for it in Dynasty. I would rather not have a slow draft, but I see the use for it. Um, but yeah, if we're doing a redraft league, you show up, you either draft or you get auto drafted. And the funny thing is a lot of the times auto drafts are a lot better than,
Yeah.
than people's
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
drafts. That's the issue that I have. I'm like, why are we letting this person auto draft when they're the type of person that takes Beanie Wells in the first, right? I want that person actually drafting. I don't
Yeah.
want them taking, a great pick in the first.
Yeah. Dude, there was one year that I was in. Oh, it was I have a now my mind just drew a blank. It's the Guillotine League. I have a Guillotine League, and last year someone auto drafted, and then they came in, set their lineup, and then they forgot about the league, and they kept winning week after week after week. Like, how are they still surviving? Half their team is on the bench or on the injured reserve, and they're still winning with just like three players carrying their roster. It was ridiculous. Finally, it was like week 12 they got kicked out. Uh, but yeah, auto draft probably should be trusted more than some people's minds when it comes to fantasy football.
Yeah, the Beanie Wells seems like a random pull, but that's because I was actually in college in a league, and someone drafted Beanie Wells #1 overall. Which we were,
Yeah,
he was like, "Well, I was just kind of researching him. I didn't know when I was gonna, and then I just panicked and I drafted him." I'm like, he was like an 8th round pick. Like, whoa.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
I like the comedy and I like the fact that I get 2 picks.
Yeah,
That should
exactly.
be a lot better than I should have gotten.
So what is the worst fantasy football pick you've ever made?
I don't know about the worst pick that I've made, but I do know that there are certain players that after they burned me, I was never going to draft them again. And that's usually how they play around playoff time. So Drew Brees, I was never going to draft him again. Every single year during playoff time,
Yeah,
when
because
he was on my team,
they bench him.
he just sucked.
Yeah.
I just like I'm not drafting him, right? There's him, and then probably just a bunch of wide receivers that I'm like, oh, you know, this guy has a chance, and then he just doesn't play after week 3.
Yeah, wide receivers are really boomer bust. That
Yeah,
position comes with a lot of like uncertainty.
that's why you have to have good strategy going into the draft.
Yeah. Zero receiver draft. It's the way to go.
Yeah, for the people who want to be in our league, yeah.
Yeah.
We premium on kickers and defenses.
Yeah.
Wide receivers are not they don't score a lot of points. And then running backs, they get hurt so often.
Yeah, you definitely don't want those.
When was the last time you heard a kicker get injured? Right.
Right.
They have a safe position. You don't have to worry about it. You legally cannot hit them. Right. Draft a lot of those guys.
Punters are premium.
Yes. What is their net punt rate? Right. That is the highest saber metric in the sport of football.
So I think the least favorite move that I ever made is, I believe it's the dynasty that we have now with our Panther group. I got by the luck of the draw, I got the number 1 overall pick. And my thought was, man, how would a real football team draft? And so I was like, okay, well, quarterback's the most important position. I need to draft the best quarterback in the league. So I drafted Pat Mahomes. And Pat Mahomes is a good quarterback for a real football team. For building your dynasty team, that's not a wise move, I learned. I have since drafted better. And that particular dynasty is my worst fantasy roster. I think I'm in 5 leagues and 3 dynasties right now, and that one's by far the worst roster that I have. It's been a very steep climb out of the gutters.
Yeah, that's one of the issues that people, because quarterbacks score the most points on a week to week basis, but the fact is like the parity between quarterbacks is not that large, right?
Right.
So the difference between the number 1 running back and the number 10 running back is completely different from the number 1 quarterback and the number 10 quarterback fantasy points wise. It's just things that you got to keep in mind. If you're drafting dynasty, not to rub salt on the wound. I just,
That's okay.
We have to educate the 12 listeners. Okay.
Yeah. Look, man, I just win way too much in life. And so I wanted a challenge somewhere. And that's what I did.
Yep. Yeah.
Just draft poorly and then try to win with a bad roster. So that's what I've been doing.
That's always my excuse. When I'm wrong, I'm right so often that I want other people to have this feeling, and then I win so often that sometimes you gotta lose, so winning actually feels good because if it's all sunshine and you get no rain, then you're just in a desert, right? And that's not great. A desert of wins. That's my life.
That's what me, DJ Khaled, and Donald Trump have in common. All we do is win.
Sure. Yeah. Even when you don't, you get to claim that you do.
Yeah.
And just end up being very delusional. That's the great thing about life.
So Ian,
you get to be as delusional as DJ Khaled.
Yeah, exactly. That poor guy, I think he might be illiterate, honestly. There's something going on with DJ. Both the
Oh, no, have you seen him read Drake's book that Drake put out,
No.
which is just a series of like inspirational tweets? It is hilarious. Uh,
Oh,
it's so funny. No, but hey, if you can have the confidence in life where you no longer live in reality, you're going to end up being happy, even
yeah, exactly. So, Ian, what's your favorite fantasy football move you've ever made? Whether it's just a waiver wire or a trade or um, just a sleeper draft pick, something like that.
Yeah, I picked up Mike Vick in his magical season with the Eagles
Dude,
in
yeah,
like the 13th round.
yeah.
And this is when I was drafting for my dad's team, so he was playing with a bunch of doctors and lawyers, and I was drafting, and they were making fun of me because I think I was like 14 at the time, just a small kid, right? And then just to run the floor with all these doctors and lawyers the entire season just felt great, and that came strictly from uh, Mike Vick, turning into he was out on the field killing
Yeah,
things.
he was amazing that year. That's what people expected Mike to be the whole time in his career. He just didn't have that dog in him. So my
Hey, he was killing things on and off the field.
yeah. My favorite move of all time, and I don't know, I doubt that my buddy will watch this, but I had a buddy named Morgan, and we had um, it was a redraft league, and I was hurting for a wide receiver. He was hurting for a tight end, and he drafted Julio Jones. And I was like, dude, this Dawson Knox kid, he's gonna be something good. And Morgan was my roommate at the time. We were living in a trailer park, and so he and I were drafting next to each other. I was like, "Look, I got Dawson Knox. Look, you need a wide or tight end. Let's make this happen." And I got him so hyped on Dawson Knox, and he was like, "Oh man, I get it. Wow, this is gonna be great." And I got the last good year of Julio Jones for Dawson Knox straight up, and he was so
Is
ticked off at me the whole season. Every time that Julio would go off and do something crazy, like he got so mad at me. And then we were in the league like 3 more years together. And every year he would draft Julio. He's like, I'm never trading Julio. I'm drafting him first round every time. And every time Julio would be trashed that year. It was awesome.
do you doubt that Morgan will watch this because he's just not mentally capable of like accessing YouTube?
No, I think he
Um,
probably just hates me still, somewhere
oh,
deep inside.
okay, all right. Because I want to make sure you weren't just out there, taking advantage of people.
Right,
Uh,
right, exactly. No, I think that's when I knew I had a career in sales. Is when I could sell Dawson Knox for Julio Jones. That's probably my favorite all-time move. I did pick up a rookie, Kyron Williams, off the waiver wire, which I thought was a good move. Um, but nothing will ever beat trading for Julio Jones. That was awesome.
That's great. I've had many trades where I knew I was getting the better end of things, but yeah, that's the great thing about being good at sales is life is sales, right? So if I can sell you, hey, look, Christian McCaffrey is going to come back. He's going to turn this thing around. Just give me everything that you have.
Look, man,
Uh,
I'll be honest,
Look,
I would
he's
buy
not
that.
coming.
I think he's coming back. I think he's that Achilles though. That's a tough one. It's a tough thing to get over in football, especially.
Yeah, I mean, he make the thing with Christian McCaffrey is his life is so good outside of football. Um, that
He's winning.
right, yeah,
He's in my
he's
crew.
actually winning, like when Donald Trump or DJ Khaled or Drew say that they're winning, we all like, okay, let's not upset them. But Christian McCaffrey's actually winning in life.
Yeah, he is.
So shout out
Good for him.
to Christian.
He deserves it. He got a raw deal from Mr. Rule and the Panthers, and he should have been a Panther for life. Speaking of Panthers, which jersey are you wearing today?
I am wearing a Jeremy Chin jersey.
I wondered. I saw 21, and I couldn't remember if that was like what Tim Biakabatuka or someone.
I think Ken Lucas wore 21 as well.
Yeah,
but no, this is Jeremy Chin. I thought he was going to be a Panther forever. I thought he was going to be one of the all-time greats after his rookie season. But
what happened? Like they just stopped using him where he was like elite.
Evero.
Yeah, it's got to be like EJ Evero.
I'm just saying that because I know that you have a vendetta against Evero.
I do. Him and his stupid bald head. Like I don't know. He's bald, right? I think, but he's
yes.
Yeah, his schemes are wild and unnecessarily wild.
What you don't like putting pass rushers out in coverage?
I do not even a little bit. It sounds funny on Madden, but that's like the extent of it.
You're not going to want to see Princely out there guarding Jordan Jefferson. No?
No, okay. Nobody.
Okay. Look,
I want Princely.
I'm putting you on the record right now. So like when Princely is put out there and he's guarding.
When he's our free safety, just out back in the.
Yeah. When he's out there guarding. Let's see here. I think that this would be like probably a Jets game is where he would pull this out. So
Garrett Wilson?
Like Garrett Wilson. Yeah. He's going to guard Garrett Wilson in the slot, and Garrett Wilson is going to look like he just beats him cold, but Princely was baiting him the whole time. Right. And he's going to get a pick six.
Yeah.
And we're going to come back to this, and I'm going to be like, hey, I told you, everyone knows what he's doing.
No, clip it, write it down. If Princely ends up in coverage, everyone needs to be fired immediately. Post haste. All right, so any guesses on who I'm wearing today? We're about the same size currently.
I have no idea.
Oh, yeah, I got a J. Stu jersey on, man.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see the numbers.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah, 28.
No. Oh, okay. Hey, you just got to grow your neck like 4 or 5 times. You'll be right there with him.
Yeah, if I had turned backward, you probably would have recognized me, regardless of the name on the back of the jersey.
Is that a retired Jake Delhomme over there wearing a Jonathan Stewart jersey? Did Jordan Gross lose a bunch of height?
Yeah, he lost weight and then height. Hopefully ears. My goodness, that guy's got a couple of satellite dishes.
Yeah, the big-eared football players always, especially in the trenches, because like the hands to the face are happening all the time, even if the refs don't catch it. I'm just glad he didn't end up like Picasso.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a rough ending to a career there. And we got to be careful, though. He could probably hear us from wherever he's at.
And that was I know it was Van Gogh that cut off his ear. It was a joke.
I don't know,
but
I just know it's one of those eccentric artists. Wait, Picasso's the redhead guy who never actually sold anything while he was alive. Is that correct?
He was winning. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. He was winning.
It was the long-term investments.
He had fulfillment through his art, not through capitalism, Drew. Yeah. So let's kind of dive into who are the guys that you want from the Carolina Panthers on your fantasy roster.
Okay, the easy one is the rookie we just drafted.
Princely? I'm
Nick Scourgeon, duh. Not Jimmy Horn, not Mitchell Evans, none of those guys. We're talking round one, number 8, Mr. Tetaroa McMillan. Uh, I was glad that he fell to us, honestly. And it's a great situation. He and Bryce already have chemistry. If you watch the recent interview between him and Thomas Davis, uh, T Mac said, I knew that the Panthers were a strong option when Bryce and I were throwing in the offseason during training. There was just that chemistry, and he knew that Bryce was going to be banging the table for him. Like, hey, we need this guy on our team. And I'm really excited because he can fit that Mike Evans type role for us. If you saw the previous video that I recorded, I think he will be more of an AJ Green type player. But with Dave Canales and his history of working with wide receivers, um, I think we see probably 120 attempts uh, towards T Mac this year, and I I'm thinking like 85, 90 catches, somewhere in that range. And a lot of that's going to be red zone targets too, just because he's so tall and his arms extend like Mr. Fantastic. So I think he is probably a top 2 offensive player for us this year for
Oh
fantasy.
yeah,
For fantasy,
definitely.
the
Out
other
of
guy we're looking at is Chuba, of course, who's top 8, top 5 running back in the league. And with Rico Dowdle spelling him this year, I think he's going to have even more burst than he did last year. So I'm really excited to see how both of those guys do well, yeah, both of them will end up on my fantasy teams this year.
yeah, McMillan is someone that I think is um, not only going to be great for just like a regular half point or no point PPR, but he's going to be great for PPR as well. I think people look at his size and um, see that he's a traditional X, that he may not be getting the type of volume, especially as a rookie, that would make him very valuable in PPR. He's going to get the volume. There's not a lot of other wide receivers on this roster that are going to steal attention from him if he can get open, right?
Yep.
And I trust that with his big body, his wingspan, and the way that he's able to position himself with his body, you're going to end up seeing him be that security blanket on third downs when we need a first down, in the red zone when we need to score. And then also taking the top off of the defense, right? It's really funny that you brought up Chuba, because I think Chuba and McMillan are going to be so helpful towards each other fantasy wise, because McMillan getting open on play action passes is going to be something that is just going to be really fun to see, and it's going to bring a lot of value for McMillan. And the other thing is Chuba is a wrecking ball. Chuba is very strong and he runs between the tackles great. When we get into the red zone, we didn't really have any red zone weapons, right? So they just stacked the box and they were like, well, we know you're going to give it to Chuba, so what are you going to do? The fact that we have McMillan on the outside that's going to bring coverage over there, that means that there's going to be less of a stacked box for Chuba. So I think that you may end up seeing Chuba with more rushing touchdowns this year, higher yards per carry. I think Bryce Young is going to be a sleeper as well. I think Bryce Young has the potential to be that late round quarterback that you wait on, because you're stacking your roster with wide receivers and running backs. So you either take a flyer on a quarterback or you take that quarterback that is more safe. And I think that Bryce Young, with his running ability, he is going to get rushing yards. And I think with the weapons around him, you're going to see him produce at a higher level, to the point that he is going to greatly exceed his draft position.
Agree. There's actually a report that just came out this week where there are voices inside the Panthers organization that are expecting Bryce to be catapulted into the MVP talks towards the end of the year. Just
Yeah, it was me.
oh,
Yeah.
that's what's going on.
Yeah. Remember, 5 straight years,
Yes,
five Super Bowl rings, 5 MVPs for Bryce Young. That is the bet that I am not officially making, but I am saying on this podcast probably every episode until
yeah.
it's no longer an option.
We are betting our viability, our future viability on that statement right there.
Here's the thing. Even if I lose, I'll just say that it's rigged and I won anyways. Winning. We are always winning.
So this is a running joke in our Panthers chat group that Ian thinks the NFL is rigged unless it works out the way he wants it to work out. And so
No, it's still rigged, even if it turns out the way that I want it to turn out. But
you just wanted the same thing Goodell wanted at that point.
Look, I don't think that players are going out there and saying, "Hey, we're going to let this other team win." But we do know that calls can be made at specific times that drastically change the outcome of games. And
that's very true.
We have to be real with ourselves that sports is entertainment and sports is a business for these wealthy people. It behooves them for strong storylines and for, good markets to win out. Right. So
I don't know. I just have to believe.
It's amazing that every Super Bowl, the teams around there have these unique storylines that are very captivating. How does that happen every year? Why isn't it just like oh yeah, this team that is just like consistently boring, but they win a lot. They're in the Super Bowl. Is there anything like really special about them? No, they just go out and play football. Why haven't we seen that?
We can always find something interesting. I think the creativity of media allows us to make up stuff.
You're just part of the NFL deep state.
Yeah, I wish those checks would cash. So, who is your sleeper Panther pick? Say you're in the 12th
JT
round.
Sanders.
JT
Sanders.
That was mine. Stop copying me.
Sorry. Yeah, I guess I'll pick someone else.
No, go for it. Tell us why. No, yeah. JT's the guy.
One, just the tight end position in general is very hard to find a stud in, right? So unless if you are getting your like Sam Laporta in the first couple rounds, you're going to wait on a tight end, and then you're just going to be in a group of a lot of tight ends that you don't feel good about at all. I think that JT Sanders has the athletic ability and has the opportunity to go out there and be very productive in the red zone, as well as being like a constant target just over the middle of the field. So yeah, that's why he is my sleeper. But if we're not going, or if we want to give him to you, I would say Rico Dow. Because I do think that in a PPR format, this would just be for a PPR format. I do think that he will bring a lot of value. I think that Canales really wants to protect Bryce Young and put Bryce Young in a position where he can be successful, every call, and having those outlets out of the backfield, as well as we'll get into our expectations for the previously mentioned player that we feel may not catch the ball as much as we'd like, but those players are going to bring significant value in a PPR format. Now, if you're not in a PPR format, probably wouldn't draft him. I don't think he's going to get a lot of carries. He's definitely not a red zone guy. And I don't know if his production in the passing game is going to be so significant that it makes up for the points that you're losing if it's not PPR. But PPR, late round, nobody's really talking about Rico Dowell. I think it'd be a pretty good option.
Would you say a good expectation for him is kind of what Austin Eckler did last year for the Commanders, uh, coming in behind Brian Robinson?
I think that may be too much of an
Okay.
expectation. Austin Eckler had a really good run until he got injured. Where because I had him on my team and he was one of my top scoring players on my team for you know 4 or 5 weeks. I don't think you'll get that from him, but I do think that you'll have someone that bye weeks come up, injuries come up. You need someone that you can put in there and have a consistent floor. And maybe that's, 5 catches, 35 yards, 5 catches, 50 yards, something like that. I think Rico Dowell can give you that in a pinch,
That
right?
makes sense. Yep. Okay. Well, this is going to shock you. My sleeper pick, Jatavion Sanders. Uh,
What?
yeah, I know. I just thought of it off the top of my head. No, I, I have pretty, I would say medium high expectations for Sanders this year, and part of it is, I think T Mac helped draw attention away from that portion of the field that Sanders is going to be running in. Also, Rico Dowdle is a good example of flashing out of the backfield. Sanders, if you go back and look at his catches, a lot of them, especially in the beginning of the year, were kind of screens, kind of just out routes that he would catch out in the flat and then run because he's athletic for his size. If only true Panther fans know this. Uh, if you look at, there's like a 3 to 5 game streak where Sanders each week was building more and more rapport with Bryce. And then he got injured and he came back maybe a week too soon. And when he came back, it was early on in the game. I believe it was the Eagles game. I could be wrong on that. But there was one of the games early on where he was just wide open. Uh, it would have been minimum a 40-yard catch, and Bryce threw it to him, and inexplicably, JT turned backwards and started running backwards like that for no reason, and of course missed the catch. And then if you go and watch after that, he was not schemed into the offense as much. It seemed like they said, okay, he's not all the way back physically, and then mentally, he's doing stupid stuff, which you kind of expect from a rookie. Rookie tight ends historically are not good unless their name is Brock Bowers or Sam
Rob
Laporta.
Gronkowski.
Yeah, something like some some outlier. But typically it's year 3 that rookie tight ends really catch on. I do think JT in year 2 is going to be well above the curve, just based off of how well he played with Bryce this in that streak, that 3, 4 game, 5 game streak, and then his potential is really high. At at worst, he is going to outplay his position as a 4th round tight end, that he was drafted into. At best, he'll be a top 15 producer in this upcoming season.
Yeah. And a lot of that just has to do with like the tight end position just being a crapshoot anyways. And then
Yeah.
also this all just comes down to roster construction as well, right? So, if you are in a position where like it's the 4th round and Brock Bowers has for some reason dropped to the 4th round, take Brock Bowers, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, there's, you
he's
know,
going like
uh,
top 7 picks now.
right. Well, yeah, because there's not a lot of good tight ends, and if you can get a value at tight end, then you have a positional value over everybody else in the league, right?
Mhm.
But if you choose to, hey, I couldn't get Brock Bowers, he went before that, so I went and I got a Justin Jefferson, or I got
Yeah.
a an elite wide receiver, and then there was an elite running back that dropped, and I just kept building out my team. And I looked down, it's the 10th or 11th round, and I don't have a tight end. JT Sanders may be that guy that is going to give you that floor to allow you to win on a consistent basis.
Yeah. What number tight end do you think he should be?
I would probably put him in like the third or fourth tiers of tight ends. I don't know like the specific number that I would have, but
like I feel
you have your elite tier.
Bowers, Kittle, Laporta, those guys are in the upper echelon, and Kittle is
I don't know if I have I don't know if I have Kittle or Kelsey in that elite tier this year.
Kelsey, it's tough.
They're in that second tier where it's like you can get elite production out of them, but there's just questions around that. Like, is Kittle going to stay healthy? We saw some regression from Brock Purdy last year. Is that going to continue to happen? Things like that. There's just questions around there. And then you have that third tier of guys like a Dawson Knox or I guess not Dawson Knox anymore. Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, you're not getting Julio Jones for Dawson anymore.
No, but that third tier is guys who can produce, but their ceiling just isn't going to be as high, and there's still some questions around them. And then that fourth tier is guys that will have opportunities. We just don't know what they're going to do with those opportunities, and that's where I think JT Sanders is.
Yeah, he's going to be an interesting one to watch.
My Panther bias tells me that he is going to do a lot of things with those opportunities. But that's the issue, is my Panthers bias has been wrong. When you're betting on the house, you typically win unless that house is constructed of Carolina Panther players.
I was going to say constructed by David Tepper.
Or Dave Gettleman,
yes.
or Herney, or Matt Rule.
He who shall not be named. So, I think now's a great time to move into our parenting discussion.
Uh-oh. Stinky. Boom. That was a great wardrobe change. That's 3 wardrobe changes, or I guess 2 wardrobe changes, but 3 different outfits this podcast.
I even got a shower in between. Only took a couple seconds.
Look, if I don't shower in between every segment, I just can't function. So that's a little behind the scenes for you guys here. Every time we switch segments, I'm showering.
We got to wash the stench of that old conversation off.
Yep.
That's the only way we keep our friendship. Ugh, get that off.
Yeah. We can smell each other through the screen. That's actually why we don't do this in person. Is it already smells too much remotely.
Yeah, the stench of liberalism, man, it's just, I can't handle it. And most MAGA people don't shower too, so.
Well, yeah. You go to places like Olympia or Seattle, those people do not shower. And they use natural deodorant. Let me tell you, natural deodorant doesn't do anything. Do not use natural deodorant. The reason why things have been scientifically modified in deodorant to stop odor is because it works, okay? So there's chemicals in it. Yeah, the chemicals are there to burn the odor. Right. It's doing its job. I made this deodorant out of oatmeal. Guess what? You just smell like stinky milk and oatmeal. Great job. You still smell.
Yeah, congrats. Organic is not always best. So, speaking of chemicals, as Ian drinks, what are you, non-sponsored soda. Speaking of smelly individuals, how's potty training going with your child? Have you done that yet?
I have not done potty training yet, but she is a poop master. which is great. So she poops like 2 or 3 times a day, and they're all
Okay.
really healthy poop.
I had to
Um,
I was wondering what you meant by that term. Like, is she artistic with it, or how does that work?
no, she is just very regular with her poops, which is great. She does have a habit of putting her hand like in her diaper when she walks. Um, like in the
Yeah.
backside of her diaper when she walks. So when she does poop, we have to be very aware of it right away, or else we'll turn around and she's got a handful of poop. That's happened once, and then we're both holding the baby, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm holding one hand, she's holding the baby. Like, no, do not put that in your mouth because babies are like, oh yeah, what's on my hands? Like, no, do not do that. Why? Why? The- you should know intuitively that poop doesn't go in your mouth,
You
but
would
that's
think.
okay.
You would think. Uh,
It's okay.
you might also consider changing the paint on the walls just so that you can be safe no matter what happens.
Yeah, luckily she hasn't played with her poop like that. She hasn't eaten poop, which is good. We're doing a good job in the parent department when it comes to poop, which
Congratulations.
uh
So my daughter has always had issues with number two, uh, since infancy. It's been really painful. She's had some tearing and stuff in the past. And so my wife discovered early on, like, if she's in the proper position on a toilet, she can go. So she hasn't had too many issues pooping in a diaper ever, just because she has to be in the proper posture, thanks to her just tremendous genetics that she gets from her parents. She won the lottery there. And so um, the issue has always been peeing, obviously. So it was a long journey, and mostly I'd say like 87, no, 97% my wife working with Isabella. But just this last week, we can pretty much confirm that she's potty trained. Like, she's sleeping through the night without going in her diaper. And even, I think it was last night was the first night she didn't even wear a diaper. She just wore normal underwear. And so, pretty big accomplishment. It's a landmark in every parenting journey. So, if you need advice, I got it all now. I'm pretty much an expert in listening to my wife.
No, hey, that's good. I wanted to do the LeVar Ball method. I don't know if you heard this, but
No, what
LeVar,
did he do?
he claimed that he had his kids potty trained by 6 weeks. Because at 6 weeks he would just wake up, and every hour on the hour he would wake the baby up and put them on the toilet, so that they knew they had to go to the bathroom on the toilet. And then I told my mom, or I told my wife that, and she was like, "That no, that's stupid." I'm like,
That's
but
awful.
it produced 3 NBA players, you
No, it
know.
produced two and a half NBA players.
Hey,
And
he played in the NBA for a few games, so
oh
he
man,
still
yeah,
got that NBA paycheck though.
that's true. uh, and he's probably going to be the wealthiest of the three brothers once it's all said and done, now that his music career is doing whatever it's doing.
Yeah, I mean, he may end up being a one-hit wonder. I still think um, Mello is going to be the richest. He's going to have one of those
I hope
max
so.
contracts.
With all of the NBA championships that he's going to win with the Hornets, while the Panthers are simultaneously winning all of the Super Bowls. That's just how it works, right?
That, that's why they call Charlotte Titletown.
Yeah. They
It is
they
where
certainly do not do that.
it, it's where all the championship teams reside.
Yeah, shout out Tar Heels, Dean Smith. Uh, so, Ian, I have a video that I think is a good one for us to react to this week. Um, and this is not a personal video. This is from, um, do you know the Dad Chats? and the mom chats. I believe their names are the Whites. He's a lawyer, talks really fast. Um,
I don't.
every
Yeah.
once in a while, they'll do like reaction video, or not reaction, but they'll get together and they'll talk about their parenting journey. This is a good one that I think we can all relate to. So I'll go ahead and pull that up here.
I've made many mistakes as a parent, but this one tops the cake. Hey, the mistake of insulting my husband in front of my 3-year-old. He asked, "Do you know where the candles are?" You said have you checked up your butt?
That's right. I'm used to that. I'll tell you what, that joke was a hit.
3-year-olds won't stop telling people to check up their butthole. To be clear, I didn't say that. To be extra clear, I didn't realize how much she was processing. Recognize this is a bad parenting move.
I gotta give her props though, because she's really funny about it. Smart. I was like, "Is anyone still in classes?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, I know where they are." And I was like, "Where?" And she goes, "Oh, come with me." And I followed her. She like gets the drawer in the sunroom. She goes,
As bad as what I asked her where the other part of her car seat was.
"What'd she say?"
Oh, I know. It's in your bow. Stop. And it's completely my fault. And honestly, it's you.
She doesn't even ask, "Have you checked everybody?" She just goes straight to the declarative sentence.
It's my fault.
You think?
Moral of the story: your kids hear everything. I've made many mistakes as a parent.
I don't know if you can relate to that or not at all, but
Oh, 100%. So my wife, her favorite two words are butthole. So everything about me, I ask, oh, what do you want to eat tonight? Your butthole. What are you doing? Your butthole. Butthole. That is one of her favorite phrases. So yes, that is definitely something that I am going to enjoy. As my kids go around responding butthole to every question.
I
The other thing that my wife does is she calls my puppy bitch boy, which I've tried to be like, okay, we can't do that anymore, but it just sticks. And she sings songs with those lyrics as well. So that's another one where I'm like, okay, we can't let this one out of the house.
you are opening yourself up to a world of embarrassment, and you have no one to blame but yourself.
Right.
So
Yep.
I always assumed that I would be the parent that makes my daughter say outrageously horrible things by accident, because that's who I am in our relationship, in our household. But my wife has actually been the one that's been teaching my daughter horrible things, just by accident. I got a couple that come to mind, but I know there's an exhaustive list at this point. One thing is, um, not horrible, but like driving down the road, one guy cut off my wife while she was driving. She said, "Stupid dude, stupid." And now my daughter, whenever we're driving, "Stupid dude, you're stupid." And then one time I was teasing my wife about something, and she was at the other end of the house. She said, "Shut up." And now my daughter just loves going around, "Dada, shut up. Shut up, Dada." No, we don't say that. Mama says it, but we don't say that. And so I get to look like the righteous parent, and it's awesome. But probably my favorite story was not our particular family, but my uncle and my cousins. My uncle, military guy. I don't know why that's relevant. Kind of, it makes sense with the humor, but he would joke around with his younger sons, and he would teach them a rhyme where they would clap together and go, "What's your favorite kind of tea? Nudity, nudity." Which was a really funny inside the house joke until one time the waitress came to the table and asked, "What kind of tea would you like?" Both the boys started shouting in the restaurant, "Nudity, nudity." Um, that joke stopped immediately afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that she would pick up from me that I'm like, ooh, you can't really say that. Outside of like very nuanced and specific like political takes. But I think we are I think we're a few years away from that. So that's that's good there. Yeah, so just the butthole stuff, bungholio, stuff like that.
It's always going to be
Um,
something that surprises you, like comes out of nowhere. Like, I did just say that, didn't I? Oh,
oh, it's probably going to be something like, well, that's not right, or that's not correct, or you're wrong, and she'll just go around telling people you're wrong, and I'll be like, okay, you can't do that. And she's gonna be like, well, you tell everybody that they're wrong. And I'm like, yes, but that's because they are. But I know they are. You don't know they are.
mm, maybe. Children are a mirror of their parents, oftentimes,
Yes.
even just in natural character traits. Um, I have a problem with patience when I'm solving a problem. Like, okay, I I should have solved it by now. Like, what is taking so long? This is frustrating. And my daughter has the same issue where like she has figured out like she knows how to put on some shoes by herself, but she doesn't know how to put on all of them. And so when the shoe is not going on all the way or when the sock isn't going on all the way, she'll start like and just like raging, which I completely understand why. Like I'm sorry, kiddo. It's a tough life you have ahead of you. It's my fault.
Yeah. The mannerisms she uses of mine, um, like I smack my lips when I'm gonna eat food. So I'm like, right. So she does that all the time. Um, just like we have the same looks. She sleeps the same way that I do. So I like rub my face in my pillow as I get comfortable. So you'll see her like on the nanny cam. She'll be having her like blanket and she's rubbing her face on it.
That's
And
funny.
my wife's like, "What? How did she pick that up? She doesn't even watch you sleep. Like what?" I'm like, it's just genetics. She just understands that you want something soft on your face, and that helps you go to sleep. Yeah.
Watching kids grow up, it is really an interesting social study in nature versus nurture. Um, yeah. I don't know if I've taught this behavior, but I do know it comes from me. Um, she thinks, I hate to admit this, my daughter thinks farts and burps are hilarious. And so I know that comes from me.
That's
Although I
because
think I trained my wife on that as well.
objectively, burps
Yeah.
and farts are hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah.
would think.
I mean
Um,
that is there's a reason why they tell you to not do it in school. It's
yeah.
because it's so funny that, like, okay, we can't stop class every time there's a hilarious thing that happens,
Yeah.
so stop farting.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
at least that's what the teachers had to tell me. Ian, stop farting all the time in school.
So
Yeah.
my daughter's obviously half Brazilian, and Brazilians just love to, especially Brazilian children, they just love to be naked all the time. And it's like you gotta not do that. And so when she'll walk in the room and like just out of a bath or some shit, I've tried to make it like, oh, don't be naked, put your clothes on, that kind of thing, because Protestant modesty or whatever. But when she walks in the room and like, oh, you're naked, now she'll find me wherever I am in the house and be like, Dada, I'm naked. Ah! So, I don't think we're learning the right lesson there, but
It'll
we are
it,
picking up
it'll
a behavior.
it'll come through eventually, right?
I hope so. Hopefully
That's
before like like 8, 9 years old, we can't invite people over to the house. Sorry, I got a weird kid.
just Just blame it on, liabilities. Like, hey, we can't have people over. I don't want to be sued. You're walking up the
Exactly.
steps and you sprain your ankle. I don't want to be on the hook for that. So nobody over at the house. It's like, wow. But really, it's like, look, my kid's gonna get naked and go, woo, I'm naked. So, that only works in New Orleans, and honey,
Right.
we don't live in
Right.
New Orleans,
And
so
only one time of the year.
yeah, yeah. I think one of the things that she does that is hilarious now is she like will drink things, and it's like she's never had liquid before in her life because she just grabs it and she's like. And I'm like, where did you pick this up on? 'Cause it is like, so it's just like everything she drinks now is just like so like. So
She's practicing for that desert life.
we were at a pho restaurant. We were giving her the pho broth, and she was doing the same thing. I'm like, okay, all right, this is great. And now, like, when she has snacks, like, she'll have like a nectarine, and she'll just be like, I'm like, okay.
Does she stick it all in her mouth at the same time?
Yeah, she'll either just like stick it up like all in her mouth, and you're like, let's not do that. I don't want you to choke. Or she'll just like, just comically just go like she's like she's a rabid dog. But yeah, no, it's hilarious.
Yeah, my daughter will fill her mouth up to capacity and then just chew and chew and chew. And then when she realizes she can't swallow, and then and she spits it all out on the plate and then gets a different bite. Starts filling her mouth up again. Like, you're gaining no nutritional value from this. Just
My
small bites, eat it. But
my
again,
daughter likes to share everything, right? So she'll like
Oh.
give me a bite, and then or she'll have a bite, and then she'll give me a bite, and I'm like, no, I'm okay. And then she'll leave it out there. It's like if you go for a fist pound, and someone's like, and you're like, no, I am committed to this. I'm going to keep this out until you give me a fist. But she does that with her food, and you're like, and you're like, oh, and she's like, no. I'm like, no, it's okay, you can have it. But she does that with the dogs too, so she'll just be like,
Yeah,
here
and
you
the
go.
dog
The
don't
dog
care.
will lick it, and then and then she'll be like, and I'm like, no, why? Why? Let's not do that, please. Let's not share our food with the dogs. But
Yeah. I have a
everything
pet
is just
peeve about sharing food and drink. Kind of like Joey Tribbiani. Drew doesn't share food. And it's not because like I need it all for myself. It's because I was traumatized as a child. Um, my parents were cheapskates, and I know they might be watching this. You guys were cheapskates. They would buy one large drink, sometimes just a medium drink, for the three kids. And the three kids would share, and we would have to take turns on the drink. It's disgusting because Allie, my middle sister, could not swallow her food before before she would drink. And when it was my turn to drink, I'd be sucking up cheeseburger bits
Drew.
in the Coke. And now I can't share anything with like, it's disgusting. The floaties in the drink, I can't do it. I have a personal rule. If I don't kiss you on the mouth, I'm not sharing a drink or food with you. And so there's only one person right now that I will share anything with, and that's my wife.
That's good. Hopefully we get to the point in our podcast relationship where
No, it's
we
never
can share
happening.
food together. Yeah, yeah.
We will share laughs. We will share
5,000
conversation.
likes. 5,000 likes on this video here, and me and Drew will share a meal together.
No, 0%. It's not.
Drew spent most of his life in the beginning parts thinking that soda had like a chunky texture to it.
Yeah. I don't like it. It's always slimy and chunky. Why?
Oh,
Dude.
that's unfortunate.
Horrible. Yeah.
No, I'm similar. I have seen like how people eat, and like oh no, I'm not going to gross people out on the podcast, but yeah, I have a similar take there where it's like no, I don't want to share this with you, so no, we're good, yeah. So, but
The other day,
my daughter insists on sharing everything, so you know sometimes you gotta man up and eat that soggy.
no, I never will. Now my daughter has started to ask, like very sweetly, and she has a cute voice, a cute smile, and she'll say, "Dada, you want some of this? Dada, you want some of this?" And I'll say, "No, no, thank you." But Dada, you want some of this? No, no, I don't. You want some of this? No, I don't want some of this. And then she's like, you have some of this, and then I'll pretend to bite it, and usually that suffices. Sometimes no, and I'm just get used to disappointment, kid. I'm not eating after you. That's disgusting. You don't brush your teeth very well. It's not happening.
No, that's good. You got to teach her that if she's going to be in sales, she has to bring value. What is the value prop here, girl?
Yeah. There's
I
it.
I don't want to eat this. Why should I eat this? Convince me. Sell it to me. You know, and then in a couple of years' time, you're going to be sharing food with her all the time because she's
No.
an elite salesperson. And
She may be
you're like,
elite sales, but there's the value will never match the cost on that. The cost being my mental stability. It's just not going to happen.
you're like, well, brush your teeth better and learn how to sell, and then get back to me.
When we started this episode, we had no idea how deep we'd dive into childhood trauma. But that's what I've experienced, and it shaped my life.
Yeah, yeah. No Lady in the Tramp spaghetti for you.
No, not until we're mouth kissing.
unless
Yeah.
we get 5,000 likes.
No,
Me and Drew, Lady in the
we
Tramp
would have
spaghetti.
we would have to get 5 million likes, and then I'd still say no. I'd say thanks for the likes, guys. Uh, Ian will eat
Come
his
on.
bowl of spaghetti by himself.
Come on. All right, internet, do your thing. 5 million likes, and then you get to see a conservative Baptist Christian end up kissing another man on a plate of spaghetti. We can do this.
No, no, we cannot. It's unfortunate for the internet, but it's not gonna happen.
If people only see this portion of our podcast and that is the only thing they ever see of us, they are definitely going to think the Two Dads No Supervision podcast means a little something else. But
Yeah, they'll be like,
okay.
Where are the rainbow colors in that logo? What did you learn in the last, I guess it's almost been 2 weeks since you and I have recorded, maybe 3, I don't know. Since we've recorded a fatherhood episode together. What have you learned in the recent days in fathering?
Yeah. So the reason why it's been pretty stagnant on our recording ends. One, you know, we are busy. We both work. We're both dads and everything else. But for me, about 2 weeks ago, my mom passed. So it was something that obviously, you know, was not in the right mindset to record and to really participate in anything that would be helpful conversation. But thankfully Drew was able to get out some content and everything else. But I do think that this has been a lesson to me in parenting, parenting through grief, and then also just being able to regulate emotions while also having someone look up to you, right? Who doesn't know what's going on, right? So I think the biggest thing for me is I got to spend my time with my mom, and I got to have those experiences, and I get to look back on all the the great aspects and the great memories that my mom gave me. Um, and it makes me really sad that my kids won't have that experience, that they won't be able to see how great of a person grandma was, be able to understand how unique and how amazing her heart was, or the little stories that she would tell that don't make any sense but still make you feel really great, or just just being so available. She was like the neighborhood mom where wherever we people would come, whether it was through me or through my sisters, they would come play with us and whatnot. And my mom would give them refuge, right? Give them food, give them drinks, make sure that they're okay. And yeah, I mean, she was just a really unique soul. Leading up to her death, Natalie was able to, FaceTime with her, or I guess like Facebook Messenger video chat with her, as she was getting ready for bed and whatnot. And so she did get a little a little glimpse of that. But I don't know. It's comforting to know that tragedy can happen in my life, and it doesn't have to affect how I parent in the moment, right? I'm not saying it's comforting to know that I can just bottle this all up and don't have to worry about it, but that things can happen where obviously for other aspects of my life I don't have the mental fortitude or capacity in the moment to deal with things because I'm dealing with something else. Um, but I never had to compromise that with Natalie, with being a dad or with being a husband, right? And I think that comes just from a biblical standpoint of understanding what my role in the household is and what like the role that my marriage plays in my life is that um you know I had already put these things in such a high aspect of my life that yes, this was a tragedy, but it wasn't like, oh, I have to reshift the priorities that I had in my life, right? Those were always the priorities in my life, and now this is something that I just have to grieve through, you know, work on and heal from. But it doesn't really change where my primary focus was from the start of my marriage and from the start of my child being born. Um, yeah,
It's good. You can't wait until you're in a crisis mode to decide to have the right values. You have to be founded on the right thing first so that when the crises come, um, you're ready. And
yeah,
then you default to whatever those primary values are. So that's huge. I appreciate you sharing that. And again, I'm sorry. Praying for you guys. I know it's not easy, and there's really nothing that can be said or done that expedites the healing process. Just you got people in your corner that love you and your family and are praying for you guys.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, everybody out there that's dealing with grief and whatnot, or dealing with loss, just remember life goes on, but life has changed, and you can recognize that, right? Like my life permanently has changed now that my mom has passed. Like it is a different reality, and I can acknowledge that, and it is okay to grieve. It's okay to feel sorrow, to feel pain, to feel sadness. And it's also okay to grieve in the way that you grieve in. Like there's different ways that we show that. You know, um, the important part is to go through just go through the actions. I know some people are, well, I don't know if I should go to the service, or I don't know if I should do this, or if I don't know if I can do that. Just go through it. And grieve in your own way. But you're never going to be able to go back to the service, right? In that moment in time where everybody is celebrating this life, right? It may be hurtful, but there's a lot of cathartic therapy there of understanding how much impact your loved one had in other people's lives, right? And that's something that you'll be able to carry with you. And I think as parents, it's something that while my parents or my kids won't be able to experience, the great things that my mom did for me, that doesn't mean I can't implement some of those things, right? And have her spirit with me, right? And do some of those, weird things and whatnot, so that they get a glimpse of it and they can feel the spirit that my mom had. But that can only happen if you go through the grieving process. I know a lot of people, they get stuck. They don't want to go through the grieving process because life has changed and they want to get into denial. And all that is going to do is rob you from really cherishing the memories that you have of your loved one, and rob you of being able to, make similar memories with your kids. And I think it's really important that you do go through the grieving process, whatever that looks like for you, because there is life goes on, right? Like we are blessed to have a wonderful life that God gives us. God is going to bless us, and God has a plan for us. And pain on earth is just pain on earth, right? So
Yeah, I think I know the tendency whenever you're going through a hard situation like that is just on a purely emotionless level of it. I feel pain, I feel discomfort. I don't like this feeling, and so I need to escape. And escapism comes in the form of addiction a lot of times, or or some sort of drastic, like, I move away and I change my name type deal, or something like that. Escapism has its healthy levels, but it's like buying something on credit. Eventually the bill comes, and eventually with escapism you'll have to deal with that pain and that grief eventually, and the longer you put it off, the more interest has accrued, and the worse it is and the uglier it is to deal with. It's best to process the pain as it happens. um, Funerals are designed the way they are for a purpose, and a natural grieving process. And so I get the desire of, like, oh, I can't handle that. I need to not attend. But like Ian said, like, you don't get to have a second funeral for that person later on. You'll have missed it, and then 5, 10 years down the road, you'll look back and say, I I'm grieving now what I could have grieved then, and I could have done with a support group, but now the bills due and I'm all alone. And so it's best not to avoid pain, because pain has its valuable purpose in our maturation process. It's best to process it, understand it, and then let it shape us into who we are going to grow into being. The the escapism, again, has its healthy value. Hey, I need to just clear my head for a second. Um, but it can't be I need to clear my head for a year or two or three. It's let's take care of the problems, and then we can all grow and heal in a similar fashion together, and grow with a support group around us. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, I agree. You can't allow the emotional debt to stack up, right? Because you're going to have to deal with it at some point, or you're just not going to live in a reality of life, right? And that's not good, right? We want to be able to live in reality because that's where we're able to connect with all of our other loved ones. And I know Drew said, like, you can take like a mental breath for a day or a week, but like a year or two or on, like, I understand that some people, it takes a long time to truly get over it, and it's or to deal with the pain, right? And we're not saying that it's going to be a short process, but what we're saying is
No.
you have to be working on it. You can't go a few years without working on it. It may be the case that you're working on it for years, without really resolving those issues, but you're still putting in the effort and you're still making progress. And that's great, right? It's when you try to detach from that because you don't want, because it's easier not to have to deal with the pain or the trauma. Like, if Drew just said, "Hey, I'm going to share my food with everybody all the time because I don't want to think of the trauma of drinking that Coke with
Then I
with
would get
huge."
mono.
Yeah, you would get mono. You could get other diseases, and then you end up just not having a great life because you're secondhand, eating off of other people rather than, enjoying your own food. Which is a crazy metaphor that I stumbled into, but yeah, when you
There
do
we go.
escape your when
Uh, so
when you
I
do
I
run
was wondering how
escapism in your
we.
life, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
When you run escapism in your life, you end up living life through a secondary lens rather than a primary lens, and that's something that nobody should want or experience long term.
Probably inappropriate, but this dad joke has been stuck in my head for like the last 2 minutes now, and so I just got to get it out. Okay, what's the hardest T to swallow? Reality. Oh,
Well, it depends. It could be nudity.
yeah.
It just depends on who's
Depending on the
who's being
reality of the
nude.
nudity.
Yeah, yeah. Nudity. Uh, all right.
This
Yeah,
episode is rated PG-13.
yeah. Yeah. Lots of nudity, but no, no skin is shown.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, for all of our viewers.
Nope. Fortunately, we're not gonna. We don't want to add trauma to your life, okay?
Yeah.
We don't want you to say, "Hey, I can't be around people who are naked because I saw Drew or Ian get
Yeah.
nude one time, and it ruined that experience for
Oh man.
everybody." Right?
The real thing
Well,
is I feel badly about our audio only listeners. They just have no idea what's happening right now on screen.
well, the great thing is we do have comforting voices, right? So the
Yeah, there you
audio
go.
only listeners at this point, they probably think that we look like Fabio, right? So they're like,
True.
man, I, I wish I could see that.
Yeah.
We just probably burst their bubble there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
unfortunately,
Certainly.
we're not Fabio.
All right, so Ian, um, got a question for you. What's the difference between a piano, a tuna, and a pot of glue?
Piano. What were they?
A piano, a tuna, and a pot of glue.
A lot of different things. They're
All right.
they're completely different.
Look, you can tune a piano, but you can't piano a tuna.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's good. I got another
Well, you're
doctor
supposed to
joke.
ask about the pot of glue.
Oh, yeah, yeah, true. What about the pot of glue?
I knew you'd get stuck on that.
Yeah. All right. Great. I've got another doctor joke because I went to the doctor. I said, doctor, you got to help me. It hurts when I do this, and then the doctor says, well, don't do that.
But yeah, I saw. I think it was an episode of House where the guy kept going like this, ow, 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 and then he said, "Your finger's broken. Stop it."
that that was my next joke.
Oh, sorry.
I went to the doctor's office. I said, doctor, you got to help me. It hurts when I press here, here, and here. And the doctor says, well, that's easy. You have a broken finger.
Oh, sorry. I ruined everything. Speaking of doctors,
it's okay. Yeah.
Why can't dogs operate MRI machines, but cats can?
Because cats
No, get it?
are no,
Cats
I get it. Yeah, it's the anti-dad joke to try to explain it away. Yeah. Oh, I have a joke that I can't say because it'll offend a lot of people. So we won't say that one.
Too bad. I looked these up. I did not come up with them. So you can thank Google for my dad jokes this week.
I've got one about a penguin. This one's a little racy. So a penguin goes into a walrus mechanic because his car broke down, and the walrus mechanic says, "Okay, I'll take a look at the car. Come back in 30 minutes, and I'll let you know what I find." So the penguin waddles across the street to an ice cream shop. 30 minutes later, comes back, and he asks the walrus, "Hey, do you know what is wrong with my car?" And he's got a little bit of ice cream on his face, and the walrus, looking at the car, says, "Oh, it looks like you blew a seal." And he said, "No, that's just ice cream."
Gross. So I was raised an only child. It drove my sisters nuts. All right, I got one more for you. I'm sorry and I apologize usually mean the same thing, except at a funeral.
Yep. Yep. That's a good one. That is a good one. All right. This was a great episode. Being able to talk about our childhood traumas of having to share food with people, talking about poop and pee.
All the important parenting topics.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, until next time.
Yes, sir.
This has been Ian and my co-host Drew.
And Drew, yeah, I'm here too.
And this is the Two Dads No Supervision podcast. Please like, subscribe, and share with anybody that you would like. And I'm talking to the 12 of you out there who may be watching this video.
7 of you are us with different accounts.
Well, no, we have like 24 views, right? So we have 12 real viewers out there. To our 12 real viewers, we wave bye. Have a good day.
Be good. Well, hello there. This has been another episode of Two Dads No Supervision. And surely we need some supervision, so please be sure to tell us in the comments what we need to do to fix ourselves. Also, like, share, subscribe. We love you all. We appreciate your attention. Thank you guys, and be good. What a dad would say.